This conference will now be recorded.
Guys, it's time. We're being recorded, please. Make sure your buttons are up, not down, okay? Yep. Appreciate that. Please cell phones off if you don't mind. Okay. I'll start the meeting, and it is now 2:00. Today's date is April 6th, and this is the monthly meeting of the Stoneybrook Advisory Committee. In attendance, let's see, where's my?
Can I pause 1 second before we do the attendance? Angela does want, she wants, already sitting, stepping, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, did you get that?
I know it.
Okay.
I know.
All right.
Okay, why do I have, I know I showed an agenda here before I thought. Okay. Yep, here it is. I got it. Covered up. All right, April 6th, we're gonna, let's see, in attendance, we have myself, Joe McCulca, JT Thomas, Chris Capiello, Warren Davies, Thomas Roller, Virginia Stacy, and missing is Angela Sullivan. For the record, I'm going to state that Angela Sullivan has already submitted her resignation, partly because of the fact that if she was here, we would have 4 members of the HOA board, which means that that would be a quorum, and we were concerned about whether or not what that might violate. So Angela has submitted a resignation. I believe you have it already?
I think we all have it.
Okay. Yep, I see it. Okay. Now, she wanted to stop by and have something, and I told her that I would give her a moment just to make a statement about the privilege of serving on the committee. Otherwise, I can read it to us because basically her statement is here. And I'll tell you what, I will read it for the sake of time. And Angela says, I've had the privilege to be a member of the Stoneybrook Advisory Committee since 2017. I appreciate all the hours of work and dedication each of the Stoneybrook Advisory Committee members do for our community. I've really enjoyed being part of this team. I may not always agree with some members, which is to be expected, of course, but I do know that we've worked together well towards the best interest of the Stoneybrook community. I've decided to step down immediately as a member of the Stoneybrook Advisory Committee. I hope to serve as a volunteer and help when needed with different advisory committee work groups. I will also continue to attend online twice a month Gateway Services CDD Board of Supervisor meetings to stay informed about the things that are happening in Gateway, especially those projects that offset or affect, Stoneybrook Gateway directly. Thank you again for the experience and opportunity to have served as a member of the Stoneybrook Advisory Committee, Angela D. Sullivan. And we thank you for your time too, Angela. Appreciate it. Okay.
Did you want to add anything to that? No?
We'll miss you.
I'm here to volunteer, so.
Yep. All right. So we have 6 out of 7 attending because we are a group of 7 still. We've had a call to order. And next thing I want to do is approve the March 2nd minutes. Anybody have any comments about these?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Warren Davies to approve the minutes from March 2nd and a second from Virginia. Stacy, any conversations, comments, or anything about that? Things you might have noticed? I think are not accurate. If there are none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous, the minutes are approved. Okay, we have a guest here, Magda, Stoneybrook resident, who has some questions about Stoneybrook parking. We have a list of items in front of you. I printed out a list that because she had sent this to us a while ago. And Magda, if you'd like to step up to the podium and if you want to bring questions up, I'm going to go down your list and address some eventually, but be my guest. Please step up to the podium.
Thanks.
Well, I have Tony here.
In paper form.
Yeah.
Do you want me to say
Yeah,
something?
let's start it, and we'll give you an opportunity just to say what your concerns are. And then I can go down the list and quickly answer some of them.
I would
Okay.
just state your name and your
Yeah,
address.
exactly.
For the,
For the
minutes.
record.
My name is Magda Scala, 12605 Stone Tower Loop. We've been dealing with parking honestly for years and years and years. This is nothing new in Stoneybrook. The problem that I see is that everyone have their own idea what no parking means. If you have a sign that says no parking means no parking, period. No one is allowed to park on the street. The problem is then you have vendors, you have holidays, you have garage sales, you have all kinds of extra things happening, and that's okay. So, but that's no parking. Do I make sense?
Yes.
We need to make a list of things. This is what you're allowed and this is what you're not allowed. And then you can park on the right side. If you turn right or you turn left, you're always going to be on the right side of the street. So if you have company, sometimes I have meetings from UF and there's two vehicles parked on the street. They're there for 2.5 hours, and then they go home. I don't see a harm on that. This is during the day. That's what I want to get to. What are we allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do, and have everyone understand this is our rules. Everybody takes it for granted. I can do this or I can do that. And it's getting old. I don't know if I make sense to any of you, but it has to be sent to every resident. This is what CCD or a Gateway Services, and this is what HOA have agreed to do. That's all. That's all I'm asking, because I have, like I said, I have UF meetings. They come to the house and they stay maybe a couple hours during the day. Why am I not allowed to have the park on the street? And there's never been an issue of no one being able. I even asked the fire person that was at the house one time, and he explained to me, he says, listen, any of you been to Orlando, downtown Orlando? Have you ever seen how narrow those streets are? And they're parked on both sides of the street. And he says to me, if we have to get through, we'll get through, and we're not responsible if we destroy any vehicles. That's the mentality. So why can we not have permission to park on the street? No 2-3 hours. That's all I'm asking.
Can I address your question essentially why it's, the board in the past has taken positions, and I'm speaking as an ex-board member, not because really this committee doesn't really have a lot to do with this, but there is an ordinance that goes back to 1991, and it's 91-29 is the ordinance. And it says an ordinance relating to uniform traffic control, enacting county parking regulations, providing for title, providing for definitions, providing for prohibited stopping, standing, and or parking in specific places. It talks about disabled parking, providing for posters, no parking signs in certain designated areas. But also, as it goes on, it describes the requirement of the width of the roads as to how wide they have to be. Now, you mentioned the comment about driving down the road and parking on the right side. And that's a little confusing to me, because whichever direction you're coming from is going to be your right side.
Every time, if you turn right on one of the streets, you'll be on the right side. If you turn left, you'll be on the right side. Make sense? So you go around the circle,
You'll be on two different, if you come into Bluestone and turn right and you park on the right side, you're on the outside of the circle. You
correct.
turn left and you do the right side, you're now on the inside of the circle.
Yeah, but you have,
That's the
that's
confusing
what
part.
I'm trying to explain to you.
Mhm.
That's very easy to make a chart and maybe
All
highlight.
you have to do is just say odd or evens.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because One
And
side of
that's-
the street's
and
always
that's
gonna
a
be odds, one
possibility.
side's always gonna be evens.
Which
Exactly.
brings
That
me.
gets rid of left and right.
Which brings me to a letter from Tony Peters. This was dated in, 2017, April 12th, 2017, almost exactly 5 years ago. Recently questions issues concerning the unauthorized or unapproved parking on the internal Gateway Services CDD owned roads and streets within Stoneybrook at Gateway were brought before the board. A list of the GSC DDD roads, streets within the SG community is attached as Exhibit A. At the March 2nd, 2017 meeting, the Board of Supervisors, the issue of no parking signs and limitations on parking on Gateway Service roads, streets, and within Stoneybrook was discussed, with directions to the District Council to review, update, and advise the board on this issue. See the attached minutes of March 2nd, 2017, and I'm not going to go through all that, but this memorandum is an attempt to retrieve and review certain pertinent materials, dates, and actions concerning no parking on these streets. While there are voluminous emails attached and documents related to the matter that were retrieved and reviewed dating from 2009 to 2017. Not all of those such documents are referenced, discussed, or attached, but it is substantial. This pile is basically communication concerning parking on Stoneybrook streets. But I do want to say something. He goes on to say some background, and I'm hoping that this will clarify one key element of the stories that are told over and over again. Please listen to this. On July 15, 2009, Bill Knight, then Gateway Services CDD Operations Manager, and the undersigned exchanged emails regarding Mr. Knight's query as to the parking on Gateway Service roads. See the attached Exhibit C. Tetra Tech provided Bill Knight with a letter outlining its review of parking on the residential streets within Stoneybrook. A copy of this letter is attached, and I have it here if you ever wanted to see it. For the reasons stated in the letter, Tetra Tech recommended that Gateway Services CDD place signs prohibiting any parking on the residential streets in Stoneybrook at Gateway. The issue of the installation of no parking signs was then discussed at various meetings of the Stoneybrook Advisory Committee. And I'll be honest with you, I was not on that committee at the time, so I can't even speak to that. See the attached SBAC meeting minutes of October 13, 2009. I probably do have that somewhere. And again in 2009, November 10th, June 10th. In any case, what he stated in this letter is that, in subsequent letter, and one of it has to do with the actual installation of the signs. And I don't want to read through all this stuff. But it goes on to say that it was as a result of the opinion of the attorney and as the opinion of the engineering firm, and I know there are people in Stoneybrook that disagree with that, their opinions, but have said it should be no parking. It was Bill Knight that put the order in to actually install the signs. There are people to this day that believe that somehow Margaret Feinberg did that. It wasn't Margaret Feinberg, it was Bill Knight.
No. Bill Knight was the one that gave but she was the one that went to that company and talked, because I talked to the
To
company.
the company,
To the tech,
Tetra Tech?
yeah.
You want to say anything? I mean, you're here.
No, I did not speak with Tetra Tech. I spoke with Bill Knight. I did not request anything. Bill Knight requested it.
Yeah.
That's a fallacy.
Just a story. It's like an urban legend now that's taken on some reality, but it didn't happen. And I do want to say this, at the time, soon after this, I did become a board member and eventually part of this committee. And I saw the communications that were going back and forth. This was insisted upon by Bill Knight. I mean, it's cut and dry, and I have letters here. I'm willing to give them to you. You can make
No,
copies if you want.
I'm not saying you're like, what I'm saying is what's going to happen now.
Okay, then let me go down your list, okay? And I appreciate the list because it helps to clarify certain things. I go to A. vendors are permitted to park on the street until the job is completed. And that is correct. But they are supposed to, and they have a special status in the state statute 316, as I'm sure Warren is aware of. And they're supposed to post or put up cones to designate that they are temporary. And now, does it happen all the time? No, of course it doesn't. They're violating the law. All right? They technically are. But essentially, the law allows vendors. They are considered some kind of special class of temporary parking to be able to work at that site. Maybe there is nowhere else for them to park. That is allowed. You said permit parking should only be allowed on the right side of the street. The problem is that the position of the engineering firm for the Gateway and the attorney at Gateway both say the roads don't meet parking standards. Now, what that means, honestly, the HOA board, the Stoneybrook board, the Gateway Board of Supervisors will never say it's okay to park. They're not going to do that because they're always going to be told that parking is illegal. How you doing?
Good.
As a result, I can't see anybody saying or giving permits to be legal to park on the streets there. I'll continue. Overnight parking on the street, same thing. No overnight parking. There really is no parking. And I will say factually, as I recall, because I was part of the question, I wasn't even aware that this issue had come up before. I had spoken to Margaret, and we were having some pretty bad situation where people parking all over the place at nighttime. And we said, we got to stop this. Sent an inquiry into Bill Knight, what can we do about that? And they had already started looking at the no parking issue because there were apparently, I guess, some complaints from residents and because there were people parking on both sides and couldn't get through. He said, there's no parking anywhere. In fact, we're going to put signs in. And I have a letter that states to that effect. We're going to install no parking signs. It gave a date when it was going to happen. We didn't pay for it. As I recall, Gateway paid for it. Am I correct about that? Do you remember? Because it wasn't the HOA money. Maybe it came out
Well, it came out
in the 04. It just started up at that point in time. Okay. Let's go to the next one. So no overnight parking. That already really does exist, even though people do. Residents have dinner guests should be allowed to park on the right side of the street. Well, either side could be the right side. So I'm not sure how you distinguish that, but essentially, I know when we used to give out tickets back in the old days and we thought we could, and we were wrong. In fact, we didn't even know we initially didn't own the roads. It's hard to believe now, but that was the case. And it really came down to enforcement. And I know a quote from Joe Tarsha, who runs statewide, and he used to be one of the ones that used to give out the parking fines.
Speeding fines.
Yeah, which wasn't appropriate, but nevertheless, if someone had their driveway full with cars and there was still a couple cars in the street and it appeared that an attempt had been done, they kind of let them slide. So it became more of an enforcement thing, even though technically that wasn't the right thing to do. As it stands right now, I'll put down a list real quick. All vehicles should be removed from the street by 10 p.m. I'm not going to argue with that. Holiday parking, garage sales, and other neighborhood activities should be very clearly explained to all residents. Well, let's say the situation with garage sales, they qualify as temporary parking, which is kind of quasi allowed, if you know what I'm saying. And I think you'd agree with that, Warren, am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I know you have strong
I have
opinions on this.
some comments to make.
Okay. But the fact is that apparently garage sales are a hot item in our community. And when they talked about stopping it, there was a lot of objection to it. That's a mixed bag right there. Holiday parking, I think that generally speaking, they don't give out tickets on holidays. They really don't. And tickets being given out today almost never happens. There was some situation recently where some people had maybe abused the rules or something, and there was a police officer or Lee County Sheriff's
No, it wasn't that.
deputy.
I'll correct you. We had a We've been trying to get the law enforcement or police patrol the roads for a while.
Mhm.
It took us about 6 months to actually get everything organized. And Lee County Sheriff had old post order or the old order for like 2 years prior. 'Cause
Where we were trying
we
to
never
enforce it.
requested for
Yeah, at
street
that
parking.
time.
It was strictly just
Yeah.
speeding and traffic violations. And they made an apology. Jennifer, that was, and Chris can verify this because he was more hands-on. But Jennifer from Lee County Sheriff literally sent an apology and was like, I am sorry that should never have been requested for street parking. And they never did it again.
Yeah.
So that was a mistake on Lee County Sheriff's. And we do have an email from Lee County apologizing for that situation.
And even on that date, no tickets were issued.
Yeah, well, there
They just let
was,
No,
people know.
not on that date, but the date prior. there
prior to
was.
that, there were a couple.
Yeah.
And in that particular case, strangely enough, what happened was similar to what Joe Tarja's standards were once were with statewide. It was an empty driveway and there were 2 cars parked out in the front of the house. And apparently the people had been doing something to the driveway to the house and forgot to get out that night and move the cars in. And when the cop came by, he probably saw an empty driveway and 2 cars parked. Because the other cars that were parked in the street,
That
he
was
was
on Jill's
actually, yeah, he actually was going and knocking on people's doors and telling them, you can get a ticket. I'm not going to do it, but you could have gotten a ticket for parking in the street. But the one case was the 2 cars that I'm aware of anyway. Let me continue to work down your list. Copy of all parking rules should be sent to all residents. That's real easy because you know what it's going to say?
No parking.
No parking.
But you have to explain like the garage sale. People ask a lot of questions. You
Yeah.
have to understand you're dealing with all kinds of
I
personalities.
understand. I know.
So if you say no parking and then you have a garage sale and then you have this,
Like
It
I
never-
said, they do meet certain standards, apparently. That's what I'm told. That because garage sales work because it is a short-term parking. They're not parking there long-term. They're moving on. And I think there's also something having to do with it, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, that if the person is still there, like they're not like in the house and out of sight, but they're still there and can get back to the car, especially if like there's an emergency. And as you know, we did have an emergency on.
with the house.
Yeah, it was a house that caught on fire on Greenstone. And thank God, there was one vehicle parked in the street, and it happened to be somebody that was a vendor, and they got up and moved it into the driveway, and then, but there was nothing else there. And if there had been cars parked in the street, it could have been a little ugly. That's all I could say. It was hard. It got to the point it was hard to get down the street anyway with all the emergency vehicles.
I remember.
But the fact of the matter is, if you're looking for a statement from the HOA or from the CDD, my opinion is they're going to tell you what the law is, and the law essentially says no parking. That's why the signs are there. So then what do we do? I think it comes down to enforcement, how it's enforced. Now, one of the things we didn't talk about yet, but is that technically, for many years, the only individual that could really install or enforce no parking or speeding and give tickets out was Lee County Sheriff's Office.
Correct.
And after that, it was, there really was no one else. The community itself couldn't do it as if the roads were owned by the Gateway CDD, because they're technically public roads, publicly owned. It is what it is, but eventually the law was changed by the state of Florida that allowed the CDD to do some active enforcement by towing.
Mhm.
The CDD can tow off its roads. It can't give out parking tickets, but it can tow your car away. And I will tell you, my memory is, and I don't know if there's anybody else that recalls, at some of our legal meetings, those are usually private meetings, but we did discuss, should we do this? And the consensus was that it's somewhat egregious. That's pretty intense. To tow a car in, I'd rather give a warning or something than tow it away. And we decided not to. So the cars weren't towed for parking.
Now you can use the laws and represent or understand. Let's say I have the classes at the house and they last about 2 hours. And they're all from UF and other. So if I put those red cones and say this is something that we do, it's not visiting, we're doing a class, would that work?
I can't say yes, But you know what? I think that's an interesting question to post to the Board of Supervisors and see how they respond. I don't know what they'll say. But I will tell you this, the Stoneybrook HOA has no authority to do that.
I know, so I have to come to nice Georgia. and
But
talk
even,
to
but
him.
even then they can say no, but it's, if you put cones up, they're always gonna say no street parking. They're not gonna say it's okay. So if you park and put cones up,
I want to take it a step further here, and because some of the things that I know, there are some residents in Stoneybrook that say, oh, they can't do this, and Tony's wrong, the law doesn't say that. Well, yeah, he's right. But the fact is that in addition to this narrowness of the road, we also have the issue of how close our houses are. And the setback rules from driveways, from mailboxes, from
It's
stop
different.
signs and the corners, it leaves less than a couple dozen legal parking spots in all of our community.
Fortunately for my house, I can park 2 cars in front of the house and I'd be okay.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. I'll say it again. It really comes down to how it's enforced. And if they're there for a short period of time during the day, and I gotta tell you, and this is just an opinion, if the cop was coming by at the Lee County Sheriff's Office and saw a couple cones out there, I don't know if he'd even, he'd just keep going.
Can we
I
bring
don't
it up next time?
We have a meeting tomorrow. You
Tomorrow?
can speak for 5
First.
minutes.
Let me see what my schedule is tomorrow.
It's right at the
do you
beginning of
remember,
the
do you
meeting.
remember a couple of years ago, and I was actually president at the time, because we stopped issuing, the Stoneybrook HOA stopped issuing
The tickets.
tickets. We would still place them on the car, just to let people
A
know.
warning, yeah.
It wasn't even a warning. It was, and this is something I started, it was a ticket that said per CDD, street parking is not allowed. And the only reason why I wanted to start that, because I didn't want people in the community to think that it was okay to park on the streets and that the HOA allowed it. So we always gave people fair warning, because if anything ever happened, I don't want a resident to be like, hey, the HOA never told us we couldn't park.
I don't have problem with a warning. I
Right.
really don't.
And that was really to protect the HOA. But we went away with that a long time ago.
Yeah, essentially we did. We stopped enforcing parking or speeding by the community, the HOA, years ago. And anything that's done now is usually done by the Lee County Sheriff's Office. And we've never, to the best of my knowledge, in recent years, since the statute allowed Gateway to enforce and tow vehicles, and the issue then became, can Gateway pass that along to us? And then a legal opinion came and said, yes, they can give us the right to tow those cars off their roads. They can give us that authority, and but we never did it.
So the bottom line now is that I always known that the streets belong. That's not the issue. The issue is I know now how to handle it. The problem is talking about the residents. I can guarantee you 95% don't know what to do.
I have to say that a lot's been written, things been posted on
But they
Facebook,
don't read it.
emails have gone out. Sometimes there are others that come out and respond and say, no, they're all wrong. So they don't know who to believe, but what can we do about that?
Well, but if the thing is, if you get a letter in the mail from HOA or from the CCD and says, this is our rules and this is what you have to obey for, it doesn't matter who says what, this is the rules. Make sense?
It
Well,
would,
the
it would
only
probably
thing-
have to come from the CDD.
That's fine.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe where your next stop has to be. But possibly with the garage sale issue and vendors, but vendors, that's in the law as far as parking, but they should put cones up. And I don't know if Chris is interested in doing anything concerning the garage sale and stating why it's okay and why vendors can park, because vendors can park because they have a special status. They do.
Exactly.
Actually mentioned in 316. Yes, Paul.
Thank you. Looking over the list, Magna, many of these things are already incorporated in other HOAs because they own the roadways and they can make those kind of rules. With the CDD owning them, it makes a different situation for us. I've read all the materials that Joe has, also gone beyond and reviewed a lot of engineering reports, et cetera. And it's pretty much a standard by traffic engineering that 20-foot roadways were not developed for on-street parking. Look around some of the cities, they have 20-foot roads, but they'll have a pull-off where 2 or 3 vehicles can park. I know they have it over at Arborwood. They have it at a couple other places like that. So it alleviates some of the stuff. We can't do that on our roadways. Anything that's going to get done parking wise is going to be done by Gateway Services, not going to be done by anyone else. Now, I think the Board of Supervisors is aware of the situation. On March 4th of 2021, at the Board of Supervisors meeting, the board directed the district director to start a traffic study and a parking study for Stoneybrook. This traffic study would be to pursue a traffic control agreement with the Lee County Sheriff. And the parking study was to determine, has there been changes or whatever, but be done by a regular traffic engineer who'll be able to say yes, no, whatever, because there's some other things out there. The big engineering organization in the country says 20-foot roadways not wide enough. The fire department rules narrow it down a little bit. But when it gets up to the Federal Highway Administration, they recommend no parking on that, but they don't make it mandatory. So it kind of opens the door a little bit, but the Board of Supervisors wants to get some firm information. They have all this legal stuff, but things have changed. There's some things on the roadway. Some areas, the roadway is 20-foot wide, but we have rolling curbs. Some people take that into consideration to make the road wider. There's just a bunch of things like that. And that's why the Board of Supervisors in March decided they needed to get a traffic study done so we can get a TSA or a traffic control agreement with the sheriff's office, and then also a parking study to see if there is any kind of availability engineering wise and them reviewing everything to get this. This committee has ignored that request since that time and still sitting somewhere. It needs to get done. I don't see the Board of Supervisors doing anything for parking until that study is completed. I know there was comments, people called into the CDD at the last incident where they were checking part when the SO was in there doing stuff. And the question come around for some of the people, well, where's the study? We need the study to do this. We have ignored it. We've not done anything with it. And we need to move forward on the traffic study. We also need to move forward on the others, on the parking study. I don't know what people are afraid of a parking study. If the things go, unless they've been changed drastically, I don't foresee an engineering concern changing anything about on-street parking. From what I've read and stuff, I don't see it. So I think that's some of the stuff that we need to do. We need to move forward with this and get it done. I know one of the reasons they want it was too costly, but there's a price of doing business. And we have a parking issue in Stoneybrook that you can say 50-50, 80-50, or whatever number of people you want, but there's still only a small portion of people that want no parking at all. But we need to get everybody. There's 778 residents who need to be satisfied that no, you cannot park on the roadway. There are certain restrictions. And even if we took the signs down, there would still be a problem, like Joe mentioned, on Stone Valley Loop. I counted there, we may be able to put 10 cars because our driveways are so close. You can't be within so far of a driveway. You can't be so far from this, that, the other thing. We just have the curves. And other places too have the curves. It's not a problem. I saw one place, I want to say Weatherstone, rode down through there and there's like 8 cars parked along the roadway. But there's no houses, there's no driveways, there's nothing there. Apparently someone was having a business meeting in the early morning. So that's where it goes. But until I don't see the Board of Supervisors moving forward on anything. I think they're sick and tired of hearing about the parking too. A couple years ago, they asked for a study or something from, I don't know if it's the HOA or from this committee, give us some ideas of what we can pass, and never come to fruition, never saw it, never went out of this room. So I think it's up to this committee to get it started and get the committee to pass and use the money to get the studies done so we can move forward on this. This study's been around too long, and
getting old,
it
yeah.
just bugs me every time the HOA does anything. It always ends up in arguing about the parking. And I agree with you. We
And
talked about it for
Warren,
a long time.
To what end would that study go?
Huh?
To what end would that study
Don't
go?
know. Well, just
Do you think it's going to come up with anything other than no parking?
don't know. There's some, that could be the thing. So why worry about it?
What about the study that was done in 2009? Why should we ignore that one?
Because times have changed. That's been what, almost 15 years ago. Rules have changed, guidelines have changed. I think if something else, we need to look at it. Just the fact that we have 778 citizens that we kind of represent here, that not everybody is satisfied with it. They don't read all the stuff that you and I have read or stuff, because all they see is no parking signs. If we did away with the no parking signs, would we have a problem?
Well, we can't do away with no
Well,
parking sign.
but I'm
without
saying-
no parking.
No,
You know, the thing is, we haven't had an issue with parking in 2 years. Never, no one really talked about it. It kind of just went away. The community wasn't fired up about it until Lee County Sheriff made the mistake and gave out
Yeah.
parking tickets. And it started back up again. We wouldn't even be talking
Well-
about parking right now.
Well, that's fine, but I'll tell you,
And who called
the sheriff's office probably has a traffic enforcement policy. It's probably very vague. And so the officer's just doing what they normally do.
No, they did, they read an
Well,
old order.
if
I saw the order because the officer actually showed me on the computer, this is what it said. And I'm like, yeah, that's not what I have, because this is the one we have.
If I was an administrator and I read your email or your texts or things on Facebook, I'd have pulled my officers out right now. Because all you said was, all they're supposed to do is enforce speeding. That's selective enforcement. There's not an agency in the world that's gonna go out there and do selective enforcement just for that one narrow thing.
That's what the order said. That's what they agreed. That's what Lee
Well,
County
that's,
Sheriff agreed on.
I'm saying what I would do as administrator.
No, but the administrator saw the order and agreed to the order and took the
Well,
contract.
I didn't read the order. I didn't see what the order said, you know.
It was actually posted online,
No, I didn't
Yeah,
pay attention.
He blasted every house.
and it was also e-blast. It was also emailed to every homeowner.
Yeah, well, I
So
didn't pay
the
attention.
order's out there, so we told them what we wanted and they agreed to it. We don't enforce law. Lee County
Yeah,
Sheriff.
well, that's right. That's why we shouldn't be telling them
But the
what to
state,
do
but
other
the
than the
Lee
fact
County
that,
Sheriff should have been yanked out because people on Facebook were talking.
well,
That's
Because the attorney for Lee County Sheriff's Office says, you meet all the standards. We're ready to go. We have a letter from her.
well,
And,
I've
you know,
got emails from the commander of the bureau.
the
and-
bureau, it sounds like something I get email fishing for my information.
Well, this was just recent, asking what the standard, where we were on getting a traffic study done so we can move forward on their thing. Trying to find, I got.
So the traffic study that was done in 2009 is irrelevant. And this law that was
Well, it's
passed
still
in
relevant now
2000
because the
and
board of supervisors
1991
have asked for a new traffic study done by a traffic engineer.
Well, that was a traffic engineer.
Well, I'm saying they want a new one done by a traffic engineer.
I gotta ask something though.
Yeah.
If they requested to have a new one done, and it's their road, why don't
They should pay for it.
just do it.
001.
Yeah.
Why do we even have to get involved? It's their roads. Do it.
It's Stoneybrook, gonna come out of the 04 fund, no matter what it is, because they don't do this for any other
Well, that's
HOA.
fine.
What about Pelican
If we have
Reserve?
to pay, we have
Well,
to
then
pay.
go, then
Fine.
someone needs to go to the board of supervisors and say, we don't like your request here, so we're not going to do it.
I don't remember hearing a request.
Huh?
When did the request get made?
The request was made at the March 4th, 2021 meeting. The deputy or the district director was advised to,
What initiated the request?
we made a presentation there on behalf of the advisory committee about the traffic study. And on March
So who
4th,
did?
I did. I was directed to do that by the board. The
By
district
the
director
advisory
was,
committee or by the board?
huh?
By the advisory committee or by the board?
Yeah, I was asked by the advisory committee to make, because we were looking at those things. So the district manager was directed by the Board of Supervisors to conduct the traffic study and parking study. The district director, or district manager, assigned it to Brian Bouchard, who worked on it for a couple weeks, and I made a call to him to find out where it was, and he said he was having a problem getting anybody to do it. So him and I worked together, we come up with the two proposals that we had back then.
And they were like about $6,000?
$600 for both.
6,000,
6,600.
6,600.
Right.
To basically tell you what you already know, though.
Don't know. Well, you can go anyway. Go
If the
15 years.
statute hasn't been changed, if the ordinance hasn't been changed, how could it be any other end or result? And we already know that the number of sites that even meet the setback
Well, then
requirements.
I
is
would
minimal.
suggest you go to the Board of Supervisors tomorrow and tell them that because of these reasons, we're not going to do the traffic study, or we're not going to do the parking study. Some of them are expensive.
I'll refer them to read the study that was already done, maybe. That might be the answer.
Could Warren possibly just state the traffic study expense, the cost?
Huh?
So could you state the amount and the parking study cost? Both of
The
those?
cost of the traffic study was $4,050, and the parking study, I think, was 20, whatever it comes up to $6,600. I want to say 2950, something like that.
So the total you're saying is 6,000?
$6,600 to do both of them.
Coincidentally, the same.
So that's, yeah, that's.
Well, so that's Warren's opinion, and I'm not sure he's willing to spend that kind of money, possibly the rest of us weren't.
That's the cost of doing business, Joe.
Well, it's a cost of finding out, like spending money to find out the sun's gonna rise in the
That's
east
true.
tomorrow, though.
But
And you
sometimes
know
you have
it's
to do
gonna
that,
rise in
prove
the
that to
east.
people.
Well, we have an attorney who has spent a lot of time on this for Gateway Services, and he says it's no parking.
He was in agreement with it.
So in other words, we have to continue doing what we have doing and just take our chances. so to
Any
speak.
complaints on parking need to go to the CDD.
And that's,
Yeah, because the HOA can't do anything about it.
Essentially, that's what it comes down to.
And as far as her point H, that was stated right on the bottom of the agreement with the sheriff's office. They told us it's up to the discretion of the officer as to what they're gonna do. We can't direct them one way or
I think if we own the roads, most of these would have already been done by now.
I agree, that's,
Which is
That's the best
something
thing.
I have
If we
said
own
for
the
a long
roads,
time.
past board members, past boards, past everything would have already agreed, because remember when we took that
sorry.
survey, I know what I was in favor of. I was in favor of limited parking. I think so was Joe.
I was the one that made the motion to include it, much to the chagrin of some other board members at the time, I know, and.
So, I mean, we were in favor of limited parking, but when it comes down to the CDD saying, no, you can't even suggest that, that's when we had to go, whoa, okay. We can't say.
How much,
parking.
what would it cost for us as residents and homeowners if we were to buy the streets? In
We
idea,
don't have to buy the streets. It's a question of getting them turned over to us. There are other costs, and this has been discussed many times, and I gotta tell you, we're not gonna really resolve that one today and here at this
no, I
time.
know, but
That's probably a conversation for the HOA board, really.
What makes you think that's gonna change anything?
Yeah.
but this is what they just
Well, if we
said.
own the roads, we'd be able to make the rules.
Yeah, we'd be able to make our own rules.
So any type of repairs done on the roads,
That's
any
gonna
type,
allow parking.
a pothole, a repavement, a resurface,
It has to come,
anything
it has to come from us.
comes from the household of Stoneybrook. I don't care if it's from the form of taxes,
Couldn't stop.
every household has to pay part of that road.
We pay taxes to them. Would those taxes go down
We're gonna move
if
on.
we take over the road?
Of course.
Exactly.
So that
Yes.
money can be used to pay for the
If,
roads.
if Gateway
So-
Services didn't maintain anything in our community except for
So you borrow from
nothing,
Peter to
we
pay
wouldn't have,
Paul. So that's.
we wouldn't have an 004 account.
Margaret?
Okay.
Am I right? I mean, I'm on the record of saying that. Am I right? If we took care of everything in Stoneybrook, the HOA, we wouldn't even have an 004 account.
That's correct.
Yep.
So our taxes would go down.
And then that money can
$1,400.
be paid for us to fix up the
Exactly.
The
streets.
HOA fees would go up.
The HOA.
Well,
would
HOA
go up.
dues would
If
go
you're
up.
not paying taxes in your trade, so people have to understand that.
Money's money.
$1,000
It's coming out of our pockets. Every
Yeah.
household, including
Is
mine.
it in the
really,
left pocket or coming out of the right pocket?
Exactly.
I want to make one point, and
Go
that
ahead.
was that Tony did go to the state attorney office and ask if the CDD could turn over assets that it owns to an HOA. And it took a long time to get an answer back, but the answer came back, no.
No.
No,
Yeah.
No.
The
They
Attorney
can't-
General reviewed that.
Yeah.
Attorney General, not the local.
Right.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
probably something written by the
So the
AG, but
rumors of us
Right
wanting
there.
to take over the roads,
Yeah.
we already knew that. That's, we can't take them over.
that's why as a political issue at the last election, it was a bit of a joke. Because they knew what the reality was. The AG says we can't get it from directly from the HOA. HOA can't get it directly from the CDD. It's a non-issue.
And I'm sure you saw that too, that the HOA is trying to take over the roads and it cost us a bunch of money. It's gonna come out of the
but
HOA.
they didn't explain that. See, this is,
Because they don't want to.
They don't want to. They didn't want you to know what the facts were. That's why.
We
It
couldn't
it
take
ain't gonna
over.
happen. Okay? Don't worry about that. But the problem on the parking, I don't have an answer for you, Magda.
well,
Other than to say that no entity is gonna tell you it's okay to do something that's not legal. That's just not gonna
we've
happen.
never had a problem, very honest with you. When we're there, some of them have a Lee County vehicle, so maybe that's why they leave us alone.
If you have a yellow license.
I gotta
plate,
tell
get
you
away with
something.
it.
I like the cone idea, but you know, I'm not gonna say that nothing's gonna happen.
Hey, there's
I'm
a
not promising.
loophole around everything. Cones and put them out.
In all honesty, we gotta move on, and I appreciate you
I-
coming down. And
No, it's
hopefully
okay.
answered your questions anyway.
You answer my questions, and I'm glad I came, because when you hear from so many sides, you never know the truth. And by listening to you guys now, I know what I'm standing for. and
Okay.
I'm
Thank
going
you so
to-
much, Mike, for saying that.
Yeah.
That does mean a lot. It does. It means a lot.
We try. We really try to get the facts out. Sometimes it's just not understood or appreciated or
I
whatever.
know some people, because of the meetings I have, I'm going to find out who's the right person to talk to. if you don't
Okay.
mind.
I don't think even a traffic engineering study is gonna change statute. And that's where it has to change. So that's my opinion. Okay?
I appreciate it.
Asphalt restoration invoice. I'm not sure why it's here, but we did pay it and it's a done deal, as far as I know anyway. I know I got a thank you from Asphalt Restoration. They are coming back to do a little touch-up work because I was not happy with some of the painting that was done of the crosswalks. They kind of, like they were running out of paint or something and they didn't want to finish it. But there's a couple ends that need to be extended, and I know at the end by Stone Valley and Greenstone, it just was left untouched. It's one side of the crosswalk, and because they didn't put that stuff over it, they didn't paint it. It looks terrible. They said they'll come out and take care of that.
Did we pay 22 or 21?
21.
Since we're on the subject, what was, I just forgive me, and that I don't remember, what was the cost of
Did we get the
of paving the
$1,000 back?
lines?
It was over $6,000 as I recall. You know, I didn't lock it in on it because I went, we're not doing it. So I kind of, you know.
The idea was, they were gonna be there anyway. I said, Joe, ask them if while they're there, just run the line down the middle of the
How
street.
much it would cost?
What would it cost? They didn't give us a price on that. They came back and said, oh, we couldn't do it the same day. We'd have to do it on another day. And then it's a $3,300 setup charge plus the cost. I'm like, no, that's what we wanted to avoid by having you do it the same
Right.
day.
This company is coming out of Orlando, so doing anything like that, you're gonna pay it. It makes no sense.
So I don't know why I was doing this. I was actually looking at stripers, asphalt stripers. They're not that expensive.
No.
To manually do it.
I do want to say this,
Maybe we need
though,
to get a few.
that the line has to be, its location has to be identified.
Well, it has to be perfect. It has to be
Yeah, and so
surveyed out.
therefore,
Two
now
lines.
you're talking
Huh?
about two lines,
Two
yeah,
lines.
because
Two lines.
to have the impact that we want it to have and have status of, you know, being
It's a
legal.
solid line.
Both are solid all the way down.
both
I think
be
they,
solid.
I think they have a cut where the crosswalks are. where the
Yeah.
cross-
I mean, it was brought up that, and I don't agree with this, but it was brought up that because we don't have the lines, pretty much anyone can pass on Pebble Brook.
The Florida statute on passing at an intersection, if it's not marked, they can't be cited.
Yeah, I agree.
Signage.
Yeah, ticketed, yeah. It's gotta be marked all the way through. That's not the same in all the states. I know back home it was, if there's an intersection there and you pass at it, shame on you because you're gonna get pinched.
Right.
But most of the time, nowadays, it's all pretty well lined up.
Yeah.
But you'd have to put a double yellow line all the way down.
Yeah, single line, broken line, white line doesn't cut it. It's gotta be a double yellow line.
You put a dotted line down through there.
Then it pretty much gives them a reason to pass.
Yeah.
Passing's okay.
Yeah, passing's okay.
But you're a golf cart, you're not passing too many people anyway.
Well, you know, when I drive on Gateway Boulevard with my golf cart or my LSV, you know, I kind of hug the corner when cars are behind me because because legally they are allowed to pass me on a double line. As long as because I'm only going 25 miles an hour. So I will wave them across. I'll wave them, hey, come on, pass me. because-
When was your last psychiatric evaluation?
For what, driving down Gateway Boulevard?
Driving down
Yeah.
Gateway Boulevard between
I only do that.
or from Stoneybrook down to,
the
where
bridge.
it goes into a 4-lane highway.
I only do it with my wife's in the back.
I was gonna say, after his wife took a big life insurance policy out on it, definitely.
No, it's actually, you know what, it's safer to be on the road than it is on that sidewalk. And legally,
I don't know
I
if I
can't be on the
can.
sidewalk anyways. I've never had an issue.
Okay, I would like to move on
Only
from
takes one.
slow moving vehicles.
Can we ask Laura or Georgia to just let us know the next time they have anybody in doing striping?
We
And we
can
can maybe
suggest,
add on to it?
Yeah, possibly. We have
Well,
priced it out.
since
we
they own the
have
roads-
Priced it out before and it was expensive.
Since they own the roads, the setup should be the same. It's the same vendor, it's the same person, the same.
But most of the time, that's gonna be part of the RFP that goes out to do the roadway,
I
so
agree.
that would
I
be a
agree.
different thing.
They have to be part of a plan.
Yeah.
Margaret,
All right, let's-
I'll remind you that they don't do a lot of striping because a lot of these streets are owned by Lee County. There's very few roads in here that are
Yeah,
actually owned
because
by. the
Gateway
city.
Boulevard's now Lee County, so it won't be that. All right,
But we could possibly piggyback on people.
Except for the oak trees tearing up.
could,
well, that was the wonderful deal they negotiated, so I didn't want to go there. Listen, let's move on, okay, because the clock's ticking, and we've got a lot of stuff. The Lake 58 restoration, now it's here, and basically, I guess this is just more for information purposes. I think everybody here by now probably does know the Lake 58 is going to be a 2-month plus project. And it's going to be a lot of interruption of lifestyle on Ivory Stone, on Stone Tower, and there might be also be some entry off of Pebblebrook, although they're going to try to keep that to a minimum. Behind some people's houses, there's going to be staging areas and piles of rock and gravel and these little pieces of equipment that you see out front here. What are they called?
They're for us.
those are for us?
Those
Yeah,
are
that's
for
what
us.
they're using,
Oh, jeez.
This is going to be by
It's a
far,
big lake.
I believe, probably by far the biggest lake project in the whole of
Gateway?
Gateway. Yeah,
Jenny and I already picked ours out.
and the hardest. And the hardest.
The
Well, I saw-
backhoe that's out there, there's gonna be one of those on Ivory Stone and one of those on Stone Tower.
Right.
And then these little carts are gonna get loaded. The big dump trucks are
I
gonna
mean,
come in,
I watched
dump
them on
onto the
mine.
cart.
So I saw the video ladies today. They're actually filming in front of the houses today.
Yeah.
I think they want to make sure if anything goes wrong, they have proof that it wasn't, is that why they film?
Possibly.
sure.
I
Yep.
mean, they are
Yeah,
in
they
front of
will
the house,
video
in the back of a
everything.
pickup truck filming
Yeah, because the lawyers will be lining up, you know that.
if something happens.
So they got a couple of cut throughs between houses
Easements.
where
that they
these
have.
little buggies are gonna
They're whipping around.
take it from the big piles and get through to the lake and then
They're not
drive up
putting,
and
they're
down
not
the lake.
putting, they're
And
not
they-
putting the barge in?
No, they don't have a barge.
Met Tower
In
don't use
fact,
barges.
I thought they used the barge before. They used
No,
barges.
not
on-
like the Met Tower. That's a
Yeah.
different company.
and the one on Bluestone actually came out much better and there was no barge in there. They actually used the equipment to run over and it seemed to pack it down
Oh.
better and they got a better result for whatever.
Met Tower does a good job.
Scott said that. They do a better job of not using barge.
And they have a lot of confidence in this company to do the right thing and they'll come back after the fact and clean it up. But
There's
meanwhile,
an entry point off of Weatherstone too, so.
Yes.
I believe
They
there
all,
was.
they all have easements.
I believe
they
there
all
was.
have
I mean, there's ones that's been identified.
Yeah. That, if they use that at all though, that's a small area, small frontage, small part of
And
the lake.
possibly the ballpark.
Chris, we might want
Ballpark
we
was
might
their
want to
last choice.
detail, get an email sent out to the residents to let them know, because I wasn't even aware of all this.
This was,
You didn't come to the meeting.
I don't know. Yeah,
He wasn't invited. I did not create the invitation list. I asked a couple of you guys to come just so you could find out what's going on, but generally speaking, I'm not the one that invited them.
It's not an advisory committee project.
And I made it quite clear when we sat down, and they agreed. And,
Strictly
So I had-
CDD and the HOA.
Right, but,
I had Chris there and I had Lou there.
but the residents, a lot of the residents don't know what's going on.
Now, they got the map.
Yeah, there's a map and a letter right now.
That map doesn't tell them anything.
Okay.
Doesn't tell them a damn.
I've been looking for some of those places. It's hard to find them.
Yeah.
It's where a drain is.
And what the CDD told us was that the people whose houses they're gonna go in between, the ones that are like touching, they're supposed to get like knocks on the door or personal notices saying, hey, just wanna let you know. Those and the ones that they're using the backyard.
And the backyards, they're
Staging out.
using a drainage easement behind those yards as access. That's what.
They definitely need to get something out to everybody, mainly because they're gonna be running those little carts out there.
Well, it was my understanding they were going around knocking on some people's doors, the ones who are really gonna be impacted. I don't know if they've done that yet or not.
Drainage easements between the houses, not behind the houses.
No, there are drainage easements behind houses too.
No, it's a lake maintenance easement.
With
No, it's behind the house?
20
No. I'm sorry, I'm gonna disagree with that. In those areas,
On the plot of my house, it says lake maintenance easement.
your house is not one of the ones I'm talking about. There are houses that back up to each other and there's no common area back there like we own, but yet they can access. There's drains back there. They drain behind the houses.
Between Ivy Stone and Stone Tower.
Yeah, and then drain back into the drain. They go through the easement out.
There's no drain easement behind the houses that are back onto the lake.
Correct.
No, but the houses where they are using, that is a drainage easement they are using.
Joe's talking about the two staging areas.
The two staging
Yeah,
areas,
yeah.
Ivy Stone.
The one staging area, one guy is gonna be very happy, and one guy's gonna be upset. The guy that's gonna be upset is the guy that has a really nice grass. The guy on the other side has crappy grass. He's probably gonna make out, because probably they're
I already saw one email. Oh, boy, that was great. We were thinking about spending money on our backyard. Now we don't have to. I already got one of those.
Depends on what type of grass they put in.
Yeah, well, that's true.
They didn't put the good grass in my yard.
That wasn't the same.
Well, this will be a little bit different, because your grass went along the lake bank.
Yeah.
They put scrap down there. They just.
Well,
around the
let me
house,
just
they put a
say
little bit
this.
better.
Everything that Scott told us and Elle agreed was that these people do a first-class job of fixing up after the fact. So I anticipate there's no reason that shouldn't be the case.
All right.
And that's about all I got to say about that one. Unless anybody else has a question. All right. Pebblebrook site.
Nope, landscaping work.
Wick landscaping.
Kathy's not here.
Kathy's not here. I'm gonna jump over that to Pebblebrook sidewalks.
Oh, no, I just said, you said that first.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
The only thing I could think of, some of this, was this about the repairs?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've already started collecting information for concrete companies to give us proposals. So I wasn't sure if there's actually a work group that.
I
Not yet.
don't think concrete companies are gonna do any repairs on sidewalks. Gateway Services now owns their own equipment to repair
The
sidewalks.
problem was that we asked and they were so
we've asked
busy
and
at
they
the time.
directed it
Oh,
directly
really?
Back
Yeah,
to me.
yeah.
And said, Angela keeps bringing it up.
And
Charge it.
I cannot believe that Manny was on that list of 3 they gave us. I'm gonna tell you right now, Manny didn't do
Yeah, I
that
brought them
road
up
work out there because I could tell it's too nice.
For your request. So what do you want to do moving forward? Do you want?
Well, it's not up to you right now and it won't be up to me. It's
Do you
gonna have to be a work.
proposals to do it, or they have proposals haven't come in?
No, I haven't got the proposals, I only had 2.
We just got a suggestion of several vendors, but then we were thinking about using the company that the HOA used to do the little bit of work back behind that goes back to
By the storage building.
by the storage building, and I think that may be the way to
Were
go.
you happy with
Did they
that
do the
work
job?
back there?
I think so,
It looked-
reasonably
it
good.
I wasn't happy
Looks-
with the work at the front.
That was not,
No, that was
that was Sprinkler guy.
So
No,
I would.
different guy. No, I did see the work done on the way to the
The clubhouse.
from the clubhouse, but close back by the shed and it was decent. I think it's okay. As long as the price is good, I think
So
it's fine.
who gets the proposal, the HOA or?
I think that
CDD should get it.
the CD,
Keep it straight.
yeah, keep it through here. I agree with Warren on that. And that's, that could be where, once in a while, hey, I agree with what you said about the parking. So there.
Things are changing for the better all around.
There you go. The sun is shining, right?
That's getting along.
The fact is though, that, yeah, get us here, whoever, right? Some
So if
information
you want
on
Georgia
that.
then to get the proposal?
Yeah, get it through Georgia. I think it's a good idea. Send it over to Georgia.
So
to
just send the
distribute.
proposals to Georgia if I get them, or just give her the
Yeah.
names.
All right, that's something we got to do. Also, I think it's a little early yet to start talking about cleaning the sidewalks.
Have you seen that sidewalk from Greenstone down to Pebblestone? Before long, it's gonna be totally black.
Stuff's already dropped.
It's gonna drop again too.
It drops again in
It
June,
drops all
July.
the time. It seems like it always drops.
It is the pits.
It's bad.
It's horrible.
When is gonna be a good time to do it?
Should we, question, I know we don't own the sidewalks. For long term, should we have our own,
No,
No,
no?
no, unless you wanna do it, we'll pay you
Yeah,
50
no.
cents an hour.
yeah. That much?
More than I'm getting paid now here.
That's right. I think the committee's gonna need to look into that. Okay?
And to find out what.
To get this done. Probably, I think we still need to probably go through a bid process, RFP, unless you just want to go back to Harry again, I don't know.
Harry he knows what's going on, but then
He knows,
someone
yeah.
mentioned another name. I think the other aspect is, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty much down between Greenstone and Pebblestone, because we have them
It is
stupid
bad.
trees.
And I'm
Because
convinced
of those
that there's underground, I walk by that sometime, there's water running out of the ground onto that sidewalk. I think there's an irrigation.
But we get so many leaves down there that it's wondering me why they haven't been upset, because all those leaves are gonna end up going down into the sewer system. And it just, during we had that big storm come through here, that just blew everything everywhere. Now it's all right back down in the gutters, so. And of course, Harry will do that, or he's done that before when he does the sidewalks. He does the,
Well, then I think I'm just making a recommendation to this committee that it's something that you need to look at, okay? So, and as far as through Georgia, we should get the name. And I think you guys the board has to give the name to this committee.
Yeah, I was just looking for it. I was gonna send it.
Okay, and I think that's the guy you
I
want
get it to
to
Georgia.
do some of the patch. I would still go to Gateway again and ask them. But
Yeah.
if they say the same thing, then this guy's the fault.
I know they're short staffed.
I know. All right, discussion on committee members. All right. But I'll jump forward real quick to the budget discussion. Okay, hey Kathy, come on up. I'm sorry I skipped over landscape because you weren't here, but you are here.
Yeah, I told you I was going.
You have to hear
I know, I know.
Pardon?
Chairman calls the meeting at order and everybody should be here.
Well, she knows that
She's gonna be here.
Well,
she
it
had
was like this, I had an invitation to go to the Twin Stadium, and that to me was,
she had an active social schedule. Come on, give her a break. But the fact is though, that I tend to agree with your priority list. The question is when to do it, and I don't know if anybody else has any feelings on this, but I don't think we want to do it all at once, and I think some of the things need to be done, when rainy season comes, or we're getting close to it.
yeah, number 7 could be done now because it doesn't involve rainy season so much.
We don't have numbers on our pages.
Oh, excuse me, I put numbers on them.
Oh, yeah, you did.
There is.
Oh,
Okay,
to the last page.
I'm efficient, Mr. Thomas.
I take a moment just to look at it real quick.
Oh, I see.
So
Yeah.
for 375, I have no problem with that. Ground
Those
dead
are-
palm leaves or trees.
This doesn't necessarily go inside these kids.
I have them numbered here if you need them again.
Hey, let me ask you something. As soon as you go out the gate on the left, is that Gateway CDD irrigation or is that Stoneybrook irrigation? That's awful brown.
That's
That first, that
Gateway.
corner area right there.
They have a lot of brown spots up and down Pleasant Brook.
Yeah.
I don't know what's.
Okay, I did address them. They're in the, it's in the thing there. Okay. Irrigation problems throughout the community. Freddie's was gonna be talking to Juan concerning this matter. There were several of them. So. The thing you should notice is the flowers at the entrance of the sign. Those are gonna be gone. And we're getting different flowers because we're different people. We're unique. And they're
Can
gonna
they
be
get
pretty.
something that grows,
This is
that
what,
doesn't get so tall, because then they have to go out and chop it away from the spotlight they're trying to.
I'm gonna show you what we're gonna get. Because I
If I
talked to,
had to ask you right now to pick, what's the total number of counts, 7 or 8 of your suggestions?
there's 7 in this one, and then we got the new one.
Okay.
That was just the latest that, Jim
If you
never,
had to pick 4 of them to
okay,
do first.
the first 4, those are the
First 4.
worst.
Well, what about 7?
7 is, it's just, it really isn't, I just figured out if you didn't want to do it because of rainy season, that really didn't affect the rain.
Okay.
The 7's our least expensive one too.
Yes, but it's because, but the other ones are more sight.
What's the dollar total on that? Anybody have that?
I'll start adding it.
Okay. One of the things we don't have in our hands yet is the March 31st financials to see just what our actuals are and where we stand. Because I think we need to be careful, you know, how much we spend and we have spent already.
$38.60.
No, that's not bad.
$38.60, and if we add 7,
It's 41,
42,
35. Yeah.
write that number down, 36.
Anyway, the flowers are the ones that were in Gateway Greens. They're pretty flowers.
Okay.
I can find my picture.
Well, I'm sure whatever you recommend is gonna be fine.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're going to go with, okay? So rather than save your time, I think.
But Freddie's already gonna do it for us. He's gonna take the ones that are there out and put those, they're gonna be lilacs, colors,
Lilacs?
well, lilac color.
Okay,
You let me,
that's a.
all right, I like lilac color instead of, okay, lavender, pink, different shades of pink. Okay, so it's gonna look summery, and they almost look like impatiens.
I like impatience.
Okay, so that's what's gonna be coming. And I kind of said to him, we don't need to look like Gateway Stoneybrook. We can be different. Everybody else is different, so.
I'm fine with it. I suggest that we, someone make a motion to approve the first 4 items on her priority list, and then the 7th, which is not much.
It's just
375.
mostly cut back and
Someone want to make that motion?
I move it
Move to approve.
Second.
for the first 4.
Okay, the first 4 and number
And
7.
number
Yeah,
7.
and we
Okay.
got to set, so that's Virginia Stacy makes the motion. And we have Chris Capiello seconding it. Any
Question,
discussion on this?
yes, question, in a minute. What account are we taking the money out of?
This will be out of landscaping. Or the plantings. We have a
Oh,
plant.
Warren just grabbed the financials.
Oh, you did.
I'm looking at did you grab the financials?
Huh?
You grabbed the financials?
No, I just pulled this
Because the
out.
sheet that you had, it looked like you had numbers. And it looked
Oh,
like-
yeah, this
I
still
don't
for
have
budget,
your-
I had a copy pulled of that, I was trying to figure out what account it's gonna come out of.
Can I see that real quick? I'll tell you.
I don't see, I don't think we have any money for it, no, if you have to think out which one.
Yeah, never mind. Never mind, Captain. We're not gonna do it.
Would have been nice if it was 6 months in.
Well, I didn't realize we were gonna have these here, I had to pull the stuff out at home.
Well, we need to get that information in order to do the budget next month. Hopefully, we'll get that before the end of this month.
Well, I talked to Laura one day, she said she didn't
That's
think
what
we
these
had
are.
the information we need until mid-April. And the
Oh,
meeting,
mid-April's okay.
but they're supposed to have the schedule's coming out tomorrow at the board meeting.
Oh, when we have to turn stuff in?
Yeah.
It's usually the last week in May.
Yeah, but they, just the different things when they're gonna do things, so,
Okay.
same thing they've done.
Yeah. I got you.
What's the total of all of it?
It comes to 4235. $4,235, and that's with the first four in number 7 proposal.
1, 2, 3, 4, 7. What's wrong with the
That's
other?
not all of them. That's not the total of everything. That's only the total of numbers
And
1, 2, 3, 4, and 7.
Yeah, because number 6 is $3,000 alone.
Yeah.
And I want to say something, this is the way it's printed out, is not what we need to do the budget. I know in
Oh,
past.
no,
years-
well, that's just.
But last year, we were missing a column that I thought.
If you added 5 and 6, it would be, that's an additional 4550.
Oh, the motion we got on the floor now, Warren, is to just do
Yeah,
1,
well,
2,
okay.
3, 4, and 7.
Yeah,
That's 4235.
yeah, and then I figure you guys could reevaluate that next month or the month after, whenever. Better handle on what actually has been spent.
Or it's your traffic value.
Now, I just want to make sure, that where the money's at, so we have. money
Yeah, I
down
know,
the
I'm
road
looking
to do
at
that.
this too, the way it's broken down, a little bit.
Don't want any
different
money
than
left
what
over.
it used
Call it though?
to. What's that? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, unanimous. Motion carries, and we're gonna do as you did
Because I,
suggest, okay?
okay, thank
Now,
you.
as far as, you know what, I'm looking at this. I don't see a landscaping issue on here. That's not total and complete. If you can, get that to Georgia, to get it in the minutes or on the agenda for, they won't have it tomorrow, but for the next meeting over there. Although I gotta tell you, once you get it into her, she gets it to Laura. I think Laura still has, the big bucks. I think she can approve up to 30,000. And so it shouldn't even have to go before.
All right, I'll
Okay.
ask. I'll do that after I'm finished here,
All right, thank you.
okay?
Hey, Katie, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was gonna ask, I thought you were done. Continue.
You don't want to go over any of this? Because the crown thorn was what Chris wanted me to ask about.
Oh, that picture, right? But the area where the kids are always cutting through.
Yep.
It's a beautiful looking bush, but it's got the ones that'll tear
Okay.
you apart.
And if you go all the way down, it
Sounds like
says,
it meets the bill.
That worked for me.
it says discuss crown thorn to put around the palms in front and back bed, around palms 1, 2, and 4 that are new.
I'm all right with it, but
Okay.
all we need is a cost of it.
All right, then I'll ask Freddie. I see him next week, next
Okay,
Thursday
sounds good.
again. Okay,
Keep
and,
that one in mind wherever we have trouble going forward.
With people cutting
yeah,
through,
okay, so I will have him.
I will
Okay.
say, just while you're here, I did get an email from someone who lives in the area of where we put the palm trees in. And they're upset about the fact that, down along Pebblebrook, we put some on the left side as you're heading north. And they're saying now, because they apparently damaged the shrubs over there or the hedge. And there's opening and kids are cutting through.
This
know where
will,
I'm talking
yep,
about?
and this will stop them because this is a,
Probably when they cut those trees down.
Yes.
Yeah. Probably chewed it up and then
Yeah.
made a mess. And so that is included in that projection then, or what you're asking for?
well, we discussed it and I said I'd come here. And so I will, when I see him on Thursday, I'll have him put out a
Okay,
proposal
so
for
you
that.
know where I'm talking about. then.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, and if you go down to the end, it says, I talked with Mr. Hall about those pipes at the corner of Pebblestone and Pebblebrook. You know,
Oh,
those,
sticking out of the ground?
Yeah.
The white ones?
yeah, those,
Those things have been around for a long time.
I know,
never-
but like forever, but they don't go anywhere.
They don't go anywhere?
They don't.
Oh, so it's conduit, but it probably runs under the road and comes back up somewhere else.
Exactly, yes.
There was
For,
back-
for,
there was
for,
a time we were looking for some of that stuff.
yeah, and in your community, I believe at every intersection, there should be 2 empty conduits that go under the road, which is really good.
I think we used a couple of those for you.
Okay, we may have, I
You
think
need
you're
to
right.
cover 'em.
How are they, is it
Next.
typical to leave them sticking out of the ground?
I don't know what that is, but yeah, no, they're usually not sticking out of the ground like that.
Because that has been there from day one, I believe.
Yeah.
Which one's sticking out of the ground?
There's a
The
green
Plastic
one.
pipes, they will.
Yeah.
Pebblebrook and Cobblestone.
Oh, yeah. Those have been there forever.
That's what I said.
I caught a bunch of kids throwing rocks down.
That's what I said.
Waiting for it.
Yeah.
So in any case, yeah, I'm in this cut. Is that it, Kathy?
Yeah, did you read this and everything's okay?
Yeah.
That's what we discussed at the last, our last round. So, all right, and you did get a new proposal that was from not last time, but the time before. And so that was to replace plants on Stoneybrook. Okay, did you get this one? Okay,
I probably did, but I don't have it in front of me right
all
now.
right. Well, I'll mark this as number 8.
Okay,
Okay,
sounds like a deal.
all right, so that way. All right, so if there's any questions about that, like I said, we're gonna get new flowers.
Sounds good. And there's a couple areas need to get dressed up, no question
Yeah.
about it.
And we're getting rid of those bushes that, as you come around the corner, that sight problem.
Okay,
Firecrackers.
No, they're bushes. As you come
Oh,
into
yeah.
Stony Brook,
Yeah.
if, it's fine if you want to turn into the parking lot, you can't see any cars coming. So someday, if there's a kid crossing, we could have an
yeah, there's
accident.
potential.
So,
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Was it agreed upon or is it just on hold? There was a large tree down at the cul-de-sac on Gemstone Court. Was anything decided on that one?
yes, it's right here. It says that we are going to, there's going to be a proposal to remove the tree and replace the palms because also the plants are dying underneath it because of the way it's built.
okay.
So my question was, how much does it cost to remove it?
I don't think we have an estimate.
We didn't get a proposal yet. I had to get that. I put this out to them. They said it's okay so that I can go back to Freddie for a proposal.
Instead of cutting down that tree, on trimming it back.
It can't be,
Extremely, if it's-
No, I understand it. It's,
Then maybe the plants underneath would grow.
yeah, I
Maybe
think
an
though the
arborist-
tree has to go. That's the
An
idea.
arborist tell you that.
Elle did,
Elle did.
yes.
She's in contrast.
Yeah, and we're aware that some of these plants we have to pick have to be a little bit able to grow in the shade, because that's what's happening to some of these plants. And I know that we've had that discussion before also. And I'm sure that's.
Right, yeah, we got out, and there's, if you get out, you can see the line in the tree where eventually it's going to just break.
Yeah.
It is a danger and safety.
Yeah, that tree was replaced a Bismarck palm that was there years ago and actually died off. Kids were climbing it and whatnot, and they put that little cheap oak tree in there and it grew up to be big ugly oak tree.
Yeah, there's not growing up
I
at
know.
all. It's growing sideways, and that's what causes
We'll
the
take it
danger.
down.
My last question is, if you're going to take down a tree, are you going to replace it with another tree?
Yes, we are replacing it with a palm tree. We're replacing it with the,
All trees.
no, we're going to replace it with a Christmas palm.
Which I think is a good choice.
I saw that on Rock Ridge. It's really pretty.
Yep.
Self-trimming.
Yep,
Exactly.
right. It'll be a 3, it's going to be a 3, whatever it is, 3 Christmas tree palm. Okay,
Sounds good. Sounds like a plan. Thank you,
Yep.
Kathy.
thank you.
Kenny, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. I know we caught you on the fly. I know you told us there's a big job coming on those lift stations, but my God,
Yeah.
there must have been 8 trucks in there yesterday.
Yeah, that's there. We're done there. Next time 12 is done, back online, next time any trucks are going to be in there is going to be for the fencing.
Okay.
Fencing is off. It's taken 6 to 8 weeks for any fencing to clear county permitting. So we are in the middle of in between week 6 and 7.
I don't get that at all.
I have no idea. It was usually a 2-3 week.
Yeah.
Now it's 8
Even
weeks.
that. All right, so that's all planned, but the things are fixed and were there any serious problems found? Because it seemed like there were a couple of things they had a little bit of trouble with.
Yeah, they're just maintenance, wear and tear, 14, 15, probably more closer to 14, 13 years of service. They don't do that. Station 2 was a little bit, once the coating came off, there was a little bit more damage, I think, than they figured was going to be there. So they go in and they sandblast it and then they stucco it and.
The coating is to protect
Yep.
the concrete, essentially.
Absolutely.
From acid and whatnot.
Yep. Hydrogen sulfide.
Yeah.
The hydrogen sulfide in there, and
Makes
in
sulfuric-
particular,
Makes sulfuric acid.
Station 12. Station 12 is just, for whatever reason, it's the one on the wrong side of the road. Oh, we do that weekly.
Yeah. This
We
is-
check the
this
stations
is-
weekly.
The pump station.
Yeah, the pump stations, the lift stations are done on this basis every, so what, 15, 12?
10 to 15 years, we have to completely
So
rebuild
this
them.
is, we were a little overdue and from when they ran into some damage.
Yes.
Now, did you go across the street to our friends in the villages over there?
They are next year. Next year, we're going to be doing Station 10 and Station 11.
Because they're not, I don't want them to be creating problems for us over.
No,
over
no,
over
no.
11. Okay.
No, we did it as a matter of ranking, and 13, 14, and 15 or 13, 14, 13, and 12, especially 12 was,
Yeah, that shocks me.
Yeah.
12
12 is 12 for whatever reason, we swear there's a Burger King in there somewhere. And I'm not kidding.
It runs flawless, huh?
I mean, there's a bunch of Burger King fans.
For whatever reason, that station has, just layers of grease, and it just, we actually put in the well, an impeller that actually, it's kind of like an airplane, and it keeps it moving. It does not let it sit there.
Years ago, we were having a problem with what was then number 1 lift station and then became number 11. But we actually put an email blast out to try to ask, please don't grease down.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's that station 12 is just, for whatever reason.
Problems, it really does. And if it's cool, it gels and it fucks things up.
And
It might be something we want to do again. Just, remind me.
say there's a Burger King in there somewhere. We don't know where, but it's in there.
All you got to do is tell them that's one of the reasons that's all those trucks are out there. They'll get their attention. Hey, Kenny, thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Anybody
you.
else, real quick, anybody else have a question for Kenny while he's here? Good one.
Thank you.
I'm back.
Okay.
Georgia wants to know who's presenting that to the board, those proposals. Do you want me to present them?
I don't think it has to be presented to the board, does it?
That's what she told me.
I don't see why. I thought that Laura has approval authority.
So she has, she has approval authority,
Authority or to approve,
up to
whatever.
$30,000.
Yeah.
But I think we missed the boat by not making a presentation to the board saying, this is what we're doing, the money's there and moving on. I think we missed the boat with doing the paved roadway because there was a couple of board members that were ready to, that if it wasn't for Mrs. Walsh, we might have lost that. When you made the president, when it come up, when you were making your presentation on something else and someone asked about the roadway and stuff, and the board didn't do nothing about it. And I'm watching a couple of them right there, and I'm going this way because you'll know where they're at. And they were a little concerned because they didn't know we were spending $30,000.
We didn't spend $30,000. That's a chat line. What do you get?
No. I'm just using a round figure, Joe.
Okay,
I'm
well,
just
it wasn't.
using a
It was
figure
25.
that we were spending this much money and they didn't know about it.
Okay.
You gotta be a little political. I know,
Excuse-
Joe, you're not political.
I am, but the fact of the matter is, it's our money too.
Yeah.
And maybe they said they didn't know about it. You know what? I think they did.
Well,
Because they certainly knew about what's her name's, what had been done when I referred to it. Even though they didn't have to go before this board.
that
They were
doesn't mean.
familiar with it.
Kathy wants to speak.
Yeah, speak, Kathy.
Yeah.
Okay, excuse me, Georgia just came out to me and Laura can approve that, so it's all set. Goodbye.
That's what I thought.
Something like that. I don't have a problem, but I think the roadway was something, we missed the boat on that.
I don't think we missed
I
the
think
boat. We presented it.
Well,
And maybe
Yeah,
they're
but
hearing about it.
not because we wanted to. Or we had it scheduled to.
We went through the bidding process. through it.
Yeah, but, that-
Okay, so
That's-
sometimes, I gotta
Sounds
say
like a lot of
something. In
red
all
tape.
honesty, you can come to a meeting and you can see who's read their board books and who hasn't. And that's sometimes why they don't know anything about it, so. In any case, all right, so we've discussed number 8, discussion of committee members, and this is a unique one. As everybody knows, and this is gonna be a one-shot deal, this will probably never happen again. We've agreed to limit the number of board members on our committee to one individual. And at this time, I'd just like to bring up to a quick discussion. We've already had one member who is a board member at Stoneybrook step down and submit her resignation. I have said that I will be resigning, have not done it yet. My intent is to do it before the end of this month, because we have up until May 1st, per the approval of the Board of Supervisors. And the 2 other members that we have is JT Thomas, who's a board member at Stoneybrook, and Chris Capiello. Chris is the current president of the HOA, and you're director 2. I think a discussion has to be had, who wants to stay, who wants to go. I give my opinion and my preferences. I know in the past that JT has expressed strong desire to stay, but I think he also, I'd have to talk to him about the possibility of considering keeping a president or an officer on the committee from the HOA board. What are your guys' feelings upon it? Because it really comes down to the two of you.
If I would have known that was the condition, I would have nominated him as an officer.
This is my opinion now.
Go ahead.
This is how I feel. I put in, I don't know how many years, 10 years on this advisory committee. I'm the vice chair. I mean, I love being on this committee. I love helping to get things done for the CDD owned property that's within Stoneybrook. But I want to focus more on the HOA. I want this year to stand out.
Okay.
For the HOA.
HOA.
I want this year to stand out. I want to put some time into it. I want this year to stand out for the board, for the HOA. So I would like to direct my time and energy on the HOA.
What's your feeling on this?
So what you're saying is it's me.
You're the
Well, if you
president.
duck under the table real quick, you think I might
You are
not
the
notice.
president.
I'm here by default.
But you are the president of the board.
I'll be glad to stay on.
I put my time in here. I mean, I love being on this. Joe is the chairman, I'm the vice chairman. It could be time to pass the batons.
And I will say this, it doesn't rule me out, but the fact is, I've been here for 12 years. I've been chair for 11. That's a long time. And being in the chair is different than just being a member of the committee.
Oh, yeah, you're busy.
There's a lot more going on. And it has been my desire to step down even prior to this. This sort of forces the issue. So I am committed to stepping down. So that eliminates myself.
See, I gotta tear up my sheets, but my notes, I gotta tear them up because I didn't know who was gonna go where. I think either, me, it don't make any difference, but in looking at the president of the HOA, I'm just concerned of the workload between the two, because there's always a lot of workload going on between both places. And I know, JT's involved in all that stuff too. So it really don't make a difference. If I was to flip a coin, I'd probably go for JT, because I think Chris has a lot on his plate with the HOA. But I also think that with the current board coming in, a lot of that's going to be filtered out to some other people to get things done.
I think
things are
things are going to be a little bit easier for Chris this time.
And then I think whichever one, I have no problem with either one.
Well, my own
Myself,
personal feeling on the subject is that it's nice to have somebody on the board who knows what on the committee, I'm sorry, that knows what the board is doing. And no one knows better what's going on the board than the president. And, and communicate and then go back to the board and say what's going on here. And if a couple of us are members of a work group, there's nothing stopping us then from contributing, even reporting back to the HOA board. So there's not that conflict that we could potentially run into otherwise. And we don't have a problem with the sunshine.
Just have to get a book of delegation to Chris so he knows exactly who to delegate everything to.
Don't be pushing that way. Oh, you mean on the board?
On the board, yeah.
Yeah, because director too, he didn't get a title, so he got, yeah.
Now, I still feel that I still would be part of the committee. I know Angela's here as pretty much part of the audience, but I think still want to be on some type of a contract committee or a vendor committee.
I'll be at all the
work
meetings
group,
in the
a
audience.
work group committee, and I would volunteer my time for that.
Yeah.
To stay connected with the CDD and to help out with.
Yeah, I think a suggestion is to have a committee that maybe could be, not a work group.
Work groups.
Yeah,
A work group.
But the fact is to have a work group that maybe we have Kathy, and I know there's one or two other people that do work with her on the landscaping, because I don't want it to be a one-person operation, but also the work group, maybe to overlook vendor contracts. Sit down and be able to deal with.
There's a lot of different things. we could
And
do
it
there.
makes it, because otherwise it's very hard for this committee if they can't talk to each other and meet and discuss these things. It really, you're breaking the rules and breaking the law when you do.
We can have them do vendor contracts, RFPs, all of that. And we could be pushing the stuff
So
don't
delegation.
have anything to do
It's
with
called
it.
delegation.
Yeah.
It's called delegation.
Well, I will say this, the actual responsibility of getting RFPs is going to shift back to where it should have been, was our own office back at the clubhouse.
Yeah.
That is what they want us to do, is handle it through there. In the past, and I'm sure Margaret would agree with this, there was a time that the HOA would pay for things and look for reimbursement from this committee. Am I correct in that? And so I don't want to necessarily go in that direction, but that is something to think about. Now, I understand, and
You lose the tax break.
you lose a tax break, but on landscaping, there is no, I was told there's no sales tax on landscaping.
It shouldn't be because it's a
I don't
service.
think, yeah, I don't think. there
It
is.
shouldn't be because it's a service. And a lot of people, and I forgot who told me this, but I never put two to two together. So everyone always talks about the tax break that we save, the 6.5%. But when people pay in the 004 into their taxes, every mortgage out there, everyone who pays taxes usually pays in November,
Yeah. and get
which is a
4%.
4% savings.
Yeah.
So that right there, so Roy, are we
It's a bit of
saving
an
taxes?
oversight. The only difference is the 6.5% goes to the state, whoever. I know 0.5% probably goes to the county, but the 4% it's at least going to our residents if they're paying the taxes on time.
But the 4% is considered when the budget is created.
Yeah, it's in there, but still, you know, you're
Okay.
adding it in. It's just like you add in to assume there's going to be a sales tax. But what I don't understand, if security is a service, why do we pay sales tax on security then?
You don't know it
It's
yet.
dependent on the tax.
Okay.
So it depends on how the tax bracket is, because for the longest time, when I owned a tanning salon, we never had tax on the service. Now, if we were selling a product, we'd have tax.
Well, I don't think too much of that's going to be changed right now, but it is going to be, the budget discussion is going to be coming up. I'm going to try to get a copy of an old spreadsheet that we used to use to determine the budget because I wasn't happy with the format that was laid out the last time. There was some information missing on that one. And hopefully we'll get all the information to do the budget by the end of this month. There's another thing I wanted us to do.
Proposal.
Go ahead.
With 3 people having to leave by April 30th,
Mhm.
our first meeting in May is going to have a group of 4. I would recommend that we
Go down to 5.
post 3 positions now for the advisory committee to be returned to to CDD by Friday the 22nd, by close of business. We have a special meeting to review those applications so we can make recommendations to the first meeting of the Board of Supervisors in May to get us back up to 5 or 6 or 7.
Would you want, because the thing says 5 to 6, or 5 to 7.
5 to 7, yeah.
Would you want to try to stay with 5 and only have to look for 1?
Well, I think we would be criticized by just going for 1. We've been criticized a lot on how many we go. We go for 3. I don't know if we'll get 3. I mean, that's the problem. And we probably don't have to fill 3 if we don't have people that's why I want this group to look at those, not just the 4, but the group.
I've been giving this a lot of thought recently and I was waiting to this meeting because, obviously we can't talk to each other and talk about these things. But my recommendation, and I understand what you're saying, Warren, but I think the easier thing to do, and I did discuss this with Georgia earlier before this meeting, to consider bringing the committee down to 5. Then we have the option at a later time, the committee can decide to, hear me out. The committee can decide to increase the number as they desire, rather than trying to have a whole crew of people come in at one time. I think one initially that you can control, know who it is. It could be, you had 3 people apply the last time. One's been eliminated and, you got 2 still left there. But I think we need to get a request out for people who are interested. And I don't think we have to necessarily say how many people we need to replace.
Well, that's true. We don't, we can just say there's vacancies on the advisory, we get them in, and we schedule, and because we're gonna have to post it as a special meeting,
Here's my,
say on the 27th, that gives us time to look at things and then get whatever we have to do to the board of supervisors so they can approve it at the first meeting.
here's my concern. And the concern is that rather than make a mad dash to get 3 people to get up to 7, because we're worried about getting quorums, let's say, or whatever, I think if we lower the number to 5, get a person in here, you know, because if you had 3 or 4 or 5 names, I think it's easy to find one good one. And then in subsequent meetings, you can discuss if you want to
Well, that's-
expand back. Remember, this board or this committee was 5.
Yeah.
It used to be 5.
But it's been
Until,
7 for how many years?
I know it's been a lot of years, but it's
Yeah.
been 7.
But do we need 7?
Well,
I would say it comes down to you guys, because I'm technically gonna be out. I mean, it's gonna really be what the decision.
I think the
Pretty much you 4.
the group we have on the committee now would be good reference when we look at the applications that come in for people that want to be on the committee. And we can take a look, and I agree, I say we post it saying there's vacancies available, and who knows, we may get a half a dozen, we may only get one, we may get a half a dozen people.
And that's my point. He may not like everybody that's named this there. And he may say, hey, only one really meets the muster.
Well, there'd be discussions, yeah.
Yeah, and my point being, I don't mean this you yourself, I mean the group. And then one fills it, and with 5, you get it. And if you want to expand it, you have the option to do it. You really do have the option, rather than feel forced to
Take
take
3 right off the bat.
Yeah.
Because you guys are gonna need to vote on who's gonna be chair,
Well,
who's gonna be vice chair.
Which brings up an interesting thing Georgia actually suggested, and I'm not sure this is 100%, that maybe we even have that vote today.
I disagree.
I disagree too.
I'm
I
inclined,
think we need the people that are going to be serving on the committee.
at least whoever's there in the May meeting, and then that'd be the
Yeah,
subject.
because I think if we meet in a special meeting before the first with this group to pick something, then we can have that person that, we won't be able to vote for anything, but we can at least discuss some things to get some things moving. The next day is it's Board of Supervisors. Once they approve it, then we can move forward.
Well, keep in mind, they don't act on things the next day. That's one of my
Well,
concerns.
we get it ahead of, we get it to them. That's why I say we plan ahead and we get that on the calendar or get that on the agenda now for the May 5th or 6th meeting, whatever it is, May 5th.
Yeah, we don't have to have the person's name, we just know you're gonna be.
No, we know we're
appointing
going
a
to,
person on
and
this
if we don't have anybody, we say, hey, we don't have anybody, you know, and they take them up.
Well, which I guess brings me down to, I'm not saying it has to stay 5. I think in this interim stage, it should be a step process right now,
Well-
because it's a pretty dynamic. and
We're getting right into the
significant change.
budget time.
Yeah.
And that's the big concern I have. We're getting into budget and trying to get.
I think a
things
couple of us are going to be out there trying to
done. Yeah,
help you.
well, that, and
I know, I
there's some things we need to budget for next year, once we get some numbers. So, you know, it's gonna take some time and say the
And
last
there's
time I
some
talked
things
to.
we know they're going to have to go up.
Yeah, no question, no question. yeah.
Because of the shift of responsibility. that's
Well,
going to
shift
occur.
responsibility, and there's some things, some maintenance stuff that needs to get done, just needs to get done. And we'll, you know, I think between the HOA and us here, we're very weak on maintenance stuff, because if things break, boy, we just go to it.
What's maintenance for us that you're
Well,
it's so bad?
Yeah, off the top of my head, well, the sidewalk, we don't have a real schedule for that. Just some things like that that we need to jump into and do.
We tend to do it late in the spring. I know, that's when it comes to the.
Yeah.
thing.
But we need to make sure we get all that stuff budgeted as
No
Maintenance
question,
stuff,
and
yeah.
and it is
Yeah.
budgeted, and that's why we look
Yeah.
back. But there are some things I know we're gonna have to tweak up.
Oh, no question,
And
yeah.
it just is what it is.
Hey,
And
the cost of business.
we've done really well as an advisory to keep those numbers budgeted.
Yeah, we have.
low
Yeah.
Being tight.
For 10 plus,
And-
for
And
10
we,
years.
and we also know that salaries are going up. It's gonna happen to the HOA
Inflation-
budget this
inflation's
year.
going up.
Are we paying the HOA guys this year?
Of course,
Board members?
yes.
Oh, okay.
I think we're doubling the salary.
Yeah,
Um,
we gotta get these 2 guys to run.
no, I mean, it's,
We offer double and triple salary.
I tried for a pay raise for here and Joe wouldn't give it to me.
Yeah,
Just double
Okay.
Now, when you start seeing inflation that's high, we're
Okay.
gonna start seeing some high.
Yeah, no doubt. The number's not just.
So
Well,
we just-
listen, I'd like to get a motion though, that we can consider reducing the official number down to 5 so that we can at least have this controlled change, to have the process move forward, know that you'll get have confidence you'll get a quorum, let's say in May, and then go from there.
Do we have?
And you can always change it in 3 months if it doesn't work.
Well, but,
2
but
months.
my concern,
A year.
you know, when we post this, we're gonna get, I'll second it for conversation, so we can talk. My concern is we post it, and now we get a couple really good people, and we're only gonna pick one to make it 5. I would rather have the option of 7, or be able to go to 7. And if we get 2 great people, we get 2. If we don't get.
And you pick one and you tell the other one, you know what, we've got to expand the
No, I
number and
can't.
we'll do
I
that, and
can't.
next month you're on.
That just negates people lose enthusiasm when they're coming there. I say we leave it open and we make that decision as we get applications.
Can it be a floating number? So that.
Well,
It already-
if we
we
get
get 2 good people, well, now
we have
it's
6.
gonna be 6.
Yes.
We're not gonna do a
That's all
third.
right.
because
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but 6 is tough because you can't get a, I mean,
Yeah.
Because it's
When-
tough.
When have we ever had
Yeah,
a
you wanna go
split
7.
decision?
Yeah, you want to go odd numbers.
Yeah, but I don't think we've ever,
No.
like,
We're almost
Green
always
Street.
unanimous.
It's always
Yeah.
either unanimous or only
I
one
could think of a
person.
couple of times, but it is rare. It is rare.
Well, it depends on what three come on.
I don't want to limit the number.
I agree.
You want us to keep it with 7?
Absolutely.
Just,
Open it up, and then if you don't have 3 people, you just don't appoint
Yeah,
3.
What you have.
Then there you
The
go.
resolution gives us that option to operate
That's
between
right.
5 and 7.
so we can see what we get.
Well, assuming you're going to still be here, how do you feel about that? Because then you're 4 and,
You're gonna use the good 4 or the bad 3.
no, that's going away. That was before on the master HOA at that time.
Actually, yeah, the HOA board doesn't have the bad 3 anymore. Anyway.
Now you remember, I'm still gonna be out there in that audience.
Hey, I'm gonna be watching you.
But you know, what, I still wanna be involved though. I really do. I still wanna not have a say, but still have my opinion and help out.
You know my email address, you know my phone number.
Yeah, but
Well, I would Facebook you, but I get requests all the time from all these fake warrants all the time. I get hacked all the time. I'm scared to answer.
I'm just a warm fuzzy person. You know,
so
right?
I'm just gonna make a notation here. We're gonna stick with 7, all right? No change.
There's a motion on the floor.
Yeah. All in favor of changing the, actually, I was looking for a motion is what I was doing.
Oh,
and it
okay.
didn't
He
really
didn't
happen.
actually.
He ran and
He
seconded.
seconded.
Yeah, but he seconded.
He seconded it with
a non-motion.
But,
So,
but I don't have to make a motion. It's like-
I'll withdraw my
Do
sort
we
of motion.
Do we need a motion to have her advertise the?
Yeah, we probably should do that.
Well, I don't think you have to make a motion
Yeah, no.
because we're under 5.
Yeah.
So just a motion to post in the gateways thing and also get it to the HOA.
I don't think we have to. I think that she just has to do it because we're, yeah, she has to do it.
Yeah, but what she does is, in the past, I think we forwarded to our office that it was distributed via
Whatever, yeah,
email.
whatever, however we have to do, she'll do it.
Okay,
By the end of the motion.
and no, I did mention it to her, and so,
So are we gonna have a special meeting?
Personally, I would prefer if we have some applications so we can, so we get some input from you folks.
With us 6?
Yeah, because you'll still be on the board.
yeah, until the end of the month.
If we call, going on on Friday, April 22nd, to close the business, that gives people just over 2 weeks to get the application in. Is that enough? Do you think that's enough time, Tom?
I'm
Well, I
fine.
don't know
I'm
if we
fine
have a
with
choice
that.
for that. We
Yeah.
have to get-
And then we have a
done.
meeting on the Wednesday, the 27th, a special meeting, just to review those. If we don't get any, we cancel the meeting.
I don't have a problem. I'm willing to show up at the special meeting. I have no trouble.
Well, you guys are still board members.
I know, and I'd still be chairman, so in effect, this way there's somebody to run it, that possibly hasn't been decided yet.
Is everybody available on the 27th?
I wasn't even
That's
available
Wednesday,
today
the
until
27th.
this morning.
I haven't looked that far ahead.
Wednesday, the 27th, that's the same regular time, just listed as a special meeting to review candidates. And if something comes up, we need to discuss beyond that.
I'll tell you, if we have the
Make the agenda out of
if we have the numbers for the actuals for the end of March, we could even do a preliminary discussion.
That's what I was thinking was because it won't take that long to do the review on if there's anybody, but it'd be a good time to start the budget, get some feedback, yeah.
You think William Gotti's gonna run?
I hear William Gotti wants to be on. That's what he said.
Instead of Wednesday?
No, wait, I'm just taking the time to review them. I think we're gonna get about 50 of them, so, you know, we're gonna have lots.
Yeah, that's why they lined up last time, right?
Yeah, don't make any difference to me.
Only because of Wednesday, I gotta go to the golf course. For work.
Yeah.
I just put on May 5th, so 1 o'clock.
Well, that's part of the next discussion is when the next meeting is. Next meeting is on May 4th.
Yeah, May 4th. Yeah, but
And May
that would
5th
be
would be
that'll be the
probably
2 o'clock.
the CDD meeting will be on
5th.
the 5th.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, so let me just say, I'll state for the record that the next official meeting date will be May 4th, 2022.
Yeah.
For the Stoneybrook Advisory.
And the special meeting will be when?
The 27th.
The 27th at 1 o'clock.
Can't see.
So see if we can we do the 26th?
It's okay.
Tuesday?
It's okay with me.
That's okay with me.
I'm open that day.
We got to make sure that this room's available though.
1 o'clock or 2 o'clock?
No, he said he could make it. What did we say? 27th? Oh, I got a dental appointment at 9 o'clock in the morning. That would be wonderful. That was wonderful.
He said the 26th.
Yeah, 26th. I don't have anything.
Not what did you say, in the morning, you said?
No, no, he said he couldn't make it. No, I have a dental appointment on Wednesday morning. That's what I was saying.
I didn't even know I could make it today until this morning.
What?
I didn't know I was gonna make it today until this morning. But that's what's looking at my kids right. All right.
Ah. No, you get a copy of the stuff and you could always call in and put the comments and say you can't make it. I'm just looking to make sure we get some good feedback. Because I can think of some names of people that may apply that we may want to discuss.
Is your guy still at Stone Valley still?
That was the 26th, the special
I've
meeting,
tried.
it's a Tuesday. right?
Tuesday.
Now,
Is that available?
We used to have these on a Tuesday, and this room wasn't available.
Oh, I don't know. Joe's pulling his muscle.
Two. 26th, Tuesday at 2, okay?
Works for me.
Okay, that's good.
That's good.
No.
When do you want to have the applications in by?
The 22nd. Close the business the 22nd.
Close the business at
The
22nd.
housekeeper just got there. You can stay at Brittany's house.
Right.
Go to Brittany's house.
Any comments from out in the audience on that, what we just did? Angela?
Depending on when the notice goes out for these applicants, if it goes out by Friday, that would be through Gateway Services and possibly through the camp, correct? So that's really not a lot of time. The only thing I would consider is if you're having your meeting on the 26th, could you make the deadline on the 25th? Because you're not able to even review them until the 26th. My second question is, will the applicants be here on the 26th?
And back up on that, you lost me there. Why you want to move it to the 25th to
Just
be able
give
to
them a couple
review?
extra days. I just know how hard it is to get volunteers.
Oh, that's for sure.
And you're not gonna look at them until the 26th.
Oh, yeah, but
No,
the
she can email
25th
them
is
to us,
closer, yeah.
She can
Georgia can
she
email
send
them
them
to
to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's what's gonna happen. She's gonna have our CAM distribute the
Right.
the crest. So in all likelihood, the responses will be going into the CAM.
Right.
And so as a result,
You can either email them or someone can pick them up and run them down or. it's open.
I'm sure that can be handled, but I don't know if we want to get them on the 25th, because then that doesn't give us much time to
Oh,
look
so
at.
you're gonna review them ahead. I thought you couldn't review them until the 26th. I misunderstood.
I don't know why that would be. Anybody?
She'll have them in at the end of, she'll have most of them in by Friday before that. And she can email them or something to us as she gets them in too. I mean,
Well, if you're discussing them on the 26th, will the applicants be able to be here?
No.
Represent themselves.
Why not?
well, it don't make any difference to me. Some people say yes, some people say no. I don't.
I think
My opinion, if we've had a chance to review them, I think it's not a bad thing. You know, Let me put it this way, if a bunch of people put applications in, yeah, maybe you want to kick it down, but if it's just two or three or whatever, yeah, that's not a big deal. That's my opinion, you know? It's-
Oh, you guys decide.
Yeah.
I was thinking we couldn't really discuss them.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true too.
Well, they did the district.
When
They
she
did
puts out their notice,
Annie,
we're gonna have
did
to
that
have
public forum.
give us all.
Oh.
They usually get something.
What's he got?
Yeah, leave Chris one too, okay?
He decided to leave because.
What happened? Okay, it was an incident?
She must have had
You
this
got all the stuff
already.
here, you
Here you go.
That's the
You got all the
template
stuff
we
here.
used in the past.
Oh, okay,
Someone called.
okay, yeah, I got you, didn't leave. All right.
Works for me.
Yeah, I agree, this is something that we did last time.
Yeah.
And I know that I had asked in the previous for a little blurb about yourself when we presented it to the Board of Supervisors, so.
Fill out the application. What application?
Man, you got this thing done quick. You had this thing planned?
Well, this is from last time.
No, it says right here.
I know, should have modified it. When you talk about an application, yeah,
Get your copy of that.
well, I
What
don't
we've
know.
used in the past.
Yeah, I like to see
Yeah,
it.
there's a
Let me go.
I've never seen that.
CDD application.
All right, thank you.
I've never seen one.
You didn't fill out an application?
When you and I came on, we set up for other board of
Yeah.
supervisors and.
And then when Chris came on, they didn't even acknowledge him. It was like,
Or when Angela, did you get acknowledged when you came on?
Oh, I sent in like my own application.
yeah, but you didn't come.
They didn't actually have that application.
I know you didn't have any meetings with Tony.
No, that was their fault. They should have told me in before.
I don't know if I
That was
ever
great.
did those things.
We don't fool around here.
It's not. But it keeps everything kind of uniform.
Yeah. Right, so I
There's an application.
All I know is,
So this is the same.
What day are we doing this? The 27th?
27th?
26.
26. All I know is they're gonna be a freaking cake.
Right? So I can have. Oh, is that your birthday?
No,
Oh.
like a farewell cake.
Oh,
It says here to reply. to
I will
board-
do that. I will have, there will be a cake here that meeting.
I'm gonna have them
I will do that.
You know,
And George is.
lower tax bill.
Does anybody object to Chris having the office send this out like immediately?
Oh, no. I
Oh,
mean,
they
she's
can
gonna
fill
send
this
it
out on
out
the computer.
wherever she goes and it needs to
So
go
the
there.
responses are gonna come to you
That's what we've done.
then? Okay.
That keeps.
And they just, and it's data filled, and when they hit submit, it goes right to you.
They have to schedule the psychiatric evaluation.
Yeah.
Appointment. Why they-
Yeah,
why they
we
want
need
to do
that.
it.
Yeah, we definitely need that.
Fingerprint.
We missed that on JT, so, what can I
Yeah,
say?
I slipped past that quick.
All right, so May 4th is your next meeting, regularly scheduled meeting, and it's gonna be a scheduled, special meeting on the 26th. Everybody hear that?
And George is gonna bring
2
that farewell
o'clock.
cake.
Cake. Celebration, yeah. All right.
At least think you're at least gonna watch or something, you know?
Any audience comments or requests out there? Anybody want to say
No
anything?
comments from the peanut gallery.
That's a surprise. I
George,
anticipated there would be
I think
something.
you can take neighborhood off of this application for us.
For what? Oh. I think it's all data code anyways, right?
Oh, okay, so that was probably a Pelican preserve.
Probably was, because they have different neighborhoods, yeah.
Okay.
Do we care whether a full-time appointment?
Excuse me,
well,
Joe.
I think it's good to- I think
if
it's
they're
good to
only
know.
on 2 months, that's one thing.
I think it's good
But
to
if
know
it's
if
a
you're,
6 month or,
Oh,
Yeah.
if you, to make quorum, I think it's good to know.
I'm sorry, what'd you say? Andy?
Just a question, I can't see the application on there, does it state that they have to be a homeowner?
Yes, Stoneybrook residents, full-time or part-time. Leave the time you have,
But-
leave the time you have owned property in Stoneybrook.
I don't think they have to be
a resident or a owner.
No, they have to be a deeded owner, they just don't have to live in the house.
Think the time that you.
They can live up north and still own property.
That's like, just like being on the board or this
They have
committee.
to be an
then
owner.
they
Yeah.
have
They have to have ownership.
Ownership.
Yes.
It says it on the application.
They can't be on the
They
map.
have no status.
Yeah.
If they're renters, they have no
As long as
status.
we all understand, yeah, okay, just make sure.
I agree with all that.
Yeah, oh, no question. I don't have a problem with that, but just
Yeah.
make
But
it
It
clear.
does say how long have you owned the property,
Yeah.
so, yeah. If they say 0, then they get thrown out.
So just make up neighborhood.
Yeah, just to, it's probably a Pelican farm, you're right. All right, thank you, George, appreciate it. So then to get it out to us, you're gonna send it to our office and we'll distribute it via
Yeah.
mass.
And I'll also
You bless.
post it on my website.
Sounds good.
Now, as you get them, can you send them to us so we can see them ahead of time?
So the 6 of you.
For now, yeah, because we're probably gonna review it in the special meeting this month and we'll still be officially members of the committee. We'll probably
Not getting
submit,
away scot-free.
yeah, not yet. We probably will submit, I guess, our resignation, effective
The 30th.
April 30th. Yeah,
And this way, if the new people don't work out, we blame it on them.
there you go.
That's right.
Yeah, it's those other guys that used to be here that shows you.
Yeah, we wanted him,
Former
but.
guy.
All right, thank you.
Probably don't have to blame me, blame the new rule.
Yeah, you got that. Well, it's not new, but in any case, any comments from the committee? Yes, there was nothing from the audience.
Just one comment. I get on poor Kathy all the time. I harass her terribly all the time. But I just want to say, it's all in good fun, and she's doing a great job on this landscaping.
Yes.
committee. I really
She's doing an awesome job in this landscape.
Yeah,
thing.
she
Thank
really
you.
is.
Who would be
Then
doing all this
better
stuff? she's
record
doing?
that because I probably won't say anything good about you again.
Well, I asked her to do it because I know she used to do this sort of thing before when she was on the board of supervisors. And she knew the people and what to do and who to talk to, so that was all good. Thank you.
You want me to reach out and get some prices on a double yellow line? See how cheap we can get?
Or let me tell you what the machine costs and how much they're.
Oh, I'm not gonna do it. I just mean,
We have
all of- a little, get a couple of prices from some companies just to see.
See what
I don't
happens.
believe that the $6,600 price from the rejuvenation people
That's
is an accurate
ridiculous.
price. Yeah, that's not right. I
It's,
think
it's, it's almost 1 mile of double line, so
Yeah.
it's a 2 mile.
Actually, if you keep in mind, we've done some already. You skip some areas, so I estimated it's gonna be about 0.8 of a mile.
Won't hurt to get some numbers, right?
Well, I'm
You skip
trying
the
to get a
intersections.
meeting
Yeah.
with Matt from Sign Tech to go over some signage in Stoneybrook, get a cost for some stuff in there. I'm not sure when that's gonna be. Jim's coming back to work on Monday. We get something going on that. I'll see, because they may have some kind of a contact. Because they do all the signs and stuff in Stoneybrook. So, and they know the.
And they don't have to give us a special day. If they
Well, he
happen
lives
to be
here.
somewhere, no, but I'm saying, if they
Yeah.
happen to be somewhere in the area doing a job and they want to come by us,
Well,
boom, run it
They're
down.
gonna have,
They'll go do something else.
it's measuring and making sure you get exactly the right
Oh,
way,
yeah.
because if you have a contested case, that's the first thing they'll do. They'll come out there and make sure that line isn't 6
In the right
inches too
place,
far
yeah.
one way. Yeah.
I agree. I got nothing, so if nobody else has
Move to
nothing.
adjourn.
I think,
Second.
motion to adjourn.
Motion, second.
Second.
All right, Warren Davis. All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
Warren
you.
and
And Virginia Stacy has the second. All in favor, unanimous.
We're gonna be there. I gotta go pick up Judy.
I'm just kidding. I think